everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joining in on the 'Tis the Season 12 Days of Holiday Scrapping with Audrey Yeager, Virginia Walker and Lorimar Ortega. Those amazing ladies are doing every single day on the lead up to Christmas. I am joining in just for today, so I'm super excited to be included. I've left everyone's channel links in the description box below, so make sure to head over to their channels to check out their videos after you've watched this one. I am working with this collection from Kaisercraft. It's the Mint Wishes collection. It's one of my favorite paper releases of all time. I just love the colors in it. But I only have a few pieces of paper and the sticker sheet left out of this. I don't have any of the ephemera or anything else, just a few papers and the sticker sheet. So I am hoping to try and make this work. I was really hoping to stash bust for this layout. I have been using a lot of the Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection, the new one, the Christmas one, Merry and Bright, and I am a little concerned that you guys might be getting tired of seeing me use the same collection over and over. So I dug into my stash and pulled this one out, and I've just gone through and done a super simple grid layout. I've cut 4 squares out of those pattern papers. I think they're right around 5.5 inches each. Squares, and now I'm just going through and distressing all the edges. And you can see I have pulled out a few bits and pieces that I think I want to use. I've got my photo there off to the right, which is right around a 4x4 square. I've got a couple of craft envelopes up the top there because there are bits of or touches of craft in this collection. So that paper I'm distressing at the moment is like a craft color, and then like the baubles in that other pattern paper have some craft colors there, so I thought those envelopes fit well. And I also have a die at the top left there that I am planning on using for my title. So I do something a little bit different with that. You'll see that in a minute. It doesn't quite work how I expected. Well, the process doesn't, but the end result is pretty much what I was after. So I'm just going to go ahead and map my photo here. I am going to pull in this paper. So the reverse of that bauble paper is just a soft mint and white gingham. So I'm going to do one layer of that, and then I'm going to do a thin layer of that dark green cardstock there. So that is just a plain cardstock, and it's a really deep forest green, and I just wanted a nice thin border of a dark color around my photo because that paper I'm going to lay it over has a pattern, so I just really wanted the photo to pop. I'm really happy with that. Now I'm going to go ahead with my sewing machine, and I'm going to do some stitching around 2 of the squares. So I'm going to do opposite diagonal squares, and I'm just doing a line of straight stitching all the way around the edge of those. And I'm just using white thread, nothing particularly fancy. And I just have a normal sewing machine that I use for everything, really. I've had this thing for a long time. It's pretty old. It has never failed me. It's a bit of a workhorse. I mend on it. I sew all my layouts on it. It's brilliant. So it's a Janome, by the way, in case you were thinking about picking up a good quality machine. I love mine. So now I'm going to cut that die. So I'm coming in with my big shot, and I'm just getting it all set up, and I'm just going to line it up in the center of this mint green square, just taping with some washi to keep it in place, and then I'm going ahead and cutting it out. So my plan was to use the negative spaces of this die to create kind of like a negative space square. And like I said, it didn't quite turn out how I wanted. And I mean, these dies aren't really made to do this. I should have used a cut file really if I wanted to do this, but you know, it works in the end. It was a bit more effort than I really wanted to put in at the time, but I'm pretty happy with the result. So I'm just going ahead and putting glue in all those little negative spaces, all the bits that are meant to be discarded. And then I'm laying the whole thing with the die still in place over the top of this dark green cardstock, and I'm kind of pushing those little itty bitty inside bits down to hopefully stick them. And I've made a mistake because I didn't glue down that outside portion at all. So when I lift out the die, the whole thing moves. And some of those pieces are just too teeny tiny to push out of the die. That way. So you can see, it didn't really work. But some of them stuck, so it gives me kind of a frame of reference. And plus I can see the glue where I did put the glue, but the piece stayed inside the die. At least I can see where the glue was, so I have a bit of an idea of where those pieces are supposed to go. So I've just gone through here and pulled out those little pieces, and now I'm just going to go through and painstakingly piece the whole thing together. And my head does get in the way quite a bit here, sorry, it's quite a fiddly process, and some of those pieces are teeny tiny. So I'm just going through and adding all those on. So those teeny tiny pieces like inside the loop of the R and the S. So tiny, but I get there in the end. I didn't lose any pieces by some miracle. And I get it all on there, and I'm pretty happy with it in the end. I wouldn't suggest you do this unless you really, really want to, but yeah, there we go. It's all finished. I'm glad it's finished. I'm just trimming off that excess cardstock, and now I'm coming in with a white gel pen and just adding some highlights to these letters. So I'm just going around some of the edges and adding like a white highlight. And I will just speed through this really quick because I did take some time doing this, but I just really wanted these letters to stand out, and I'm not sure whether it will come across super well on camera, but in real life this definitely helped to accentuate the three-dimensional nature of this piece. So I'm just going through and gluing down my photo now. Still haven't decided at this point which position each of those squares is going to go in, but I will shuffle them around a little bit here. This layout, I chose a grid layout because I thought it would go quickly, and it didn't at all. It actually ended up taking me ages. That die cut didn't help, but I think the rest, I didn't have enough stuff. I didn't have any embellishments, so I was just a bit limited, so that made it take quite a bit longer. I love that large floral piece. I'm going to use it. I don't like it there though. I will move it. Same with those two phrase pieces, the 'Tis the Season and Making Merry Memories. Yeah, I just don't like that whole square at the moment. So I'm going to pull that apart, and I'm going to switch it to a vertical orientation. I also went ahead and used one of those border strips and just added it to the bottom of my little envelope there. I really like that. Just an extra detail. Some little holly leaves and berries. Stuck it to my photo. I was so annoyed that happened. So I've just decided to cut that bit off and then layer it over the top of my floral cluster. I like that. And then I'll just layer these up like that. I'm much happier with that now. And another border strip. It just adds another touch of craft as well across the bottom of that square. And this kind of scrapbooking, it's kind of like making 4 mini layouts on the one big one, which is kind of fun. So I definitely did enjoy this whole process. I've come in with this pattern paper. I just wanted another floral. I really like the floral in the top left, and I just felt like I really needed another one to balance out my layout. So I've just pulled this out from one of the pattern papers. Thank goodness that was there, because there's no other florals at all in what I have. So I just quickly, super sped up, fussy cut that out. And I'm going to tuck it just behind my photo there, so you have that diagonal from flower to flower across the page. It just helps to balance it out, I feel like. So just gluing that down, and then I thought about tucking my envelope underneath, but I do end up putting it over the top because I am going to add some other things on top of it in a minute. So I'll just glue that down and trim off that little corner. There you go. Add a touch of glue here and there. Some of those stickers, they're pretty old, so they weren't sticking super well. So I pulled out this phrase sticker that says, being together is the best gift of all, which I thought was appropriate because that's my husband and me up in that photo. So I'm just going through and cutting, trimming it down because they weren't cut very well. So I'm just going to layer these up on top of the tag. Just adds another touch of, a little something extra. Not the tag, the envelope. These puffy stars are from Rosie Studio, so I'm going to add a few of these to this top one. I put the white ones down. I really like them, but they just weren't showing up well enough for me on top of that pattern paper, so I go with those dark grey and then the little black one. I'm going to pop some Nuvo drops on this square. It was just looking a little bit bare for me, so I'm just going to do 3 little clusters of 3 drops of the white vintage Nuvo drops. Then I'm coming over here and adding some more of those puffy stars. So these are the white ones again. I'm just going to add them on top of my photo, and then one at the top of that envelope, really sweet. And then some more Nuvo drops. So these are one of the champagne gold. I'm not sure which, the crystal drops. And I just did a bunch of those on a diagonal across that square. Now I'm coming in and adhering all my squares down once I've got them how I want them. And I probably should have pulled out some kind of measuring device, a ruler or a T-square or something, to make sure these were all even, but I just, my policy is just to kind of wing these things, so I just kind of try to eyeball it and keep them as straight as possible, and in the end they're pretty even, and no one's going to be scrutinizing your work that closely, so I just kind of let it go. Last thing I'm going to do is add a few more of these little Nuvo drops to these star clusters. And that's my layout finished. Thank you so much for joining me today. Close-ups are coming up. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.